welcome back to Small Bites. I'm Monique Champagne. I'm a therapist here at The Gracious Mind, where we aim to provide the community with resources on mental health and tips and tricks that you can take into your own life. This is the last of our self-expression journaling series, and today I'm going to challenge you to make a mess along with me. You may remember our Journaling for Overthinkers video from a few weeks ago, and if you're jumping into this video thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to even make a first mark on a page? If you are someone who opens up a brand new journal and feels nervous about making that first mark, then this video is definitely for you. So like with any of the other small bites, it really only works if you go out and do it. And so you may be nervous, maybe feeling some anxiety around making a mess, but I'm going to challenge you to go out and do it anyway. So I'm going to give you 3 examples of different ways to make a mess in your journal. But first, I'm going to talk about some of the benefits of being messy. One of the first benefits is that it just saves time. You're welcome to draw lines in your journal and structure your journal in a way that feels useful for you, but being messy just saves time. Another benefit of being messy is that we practice quieting our inner voice, the asshole voice, the one that's telling you you're doing it all wrong and it has to be perfect. So like with meditating, the goal isn't to go around being mindful and meditative all the time. The goal is to be able to practice quieting your voice, and being able to call on that voice whenever it's useful. So in this way, when you're practicing being messy, I want you to practice quieting that inner critic, telling it to shut up and go away. Another benefit of creating a messy journal is that you get to tap into color, flow, shapes, different things that our language part of our brain just can't describe. I'm sure you've had that feeling where you just don't quite know what to call it. We talk a lot at The Gracious Mind about giving feelings names and talking to them and listening to our feelings. And so this is one way of doing that without having to use the language part of our brain. So the first thing I want to mention about making a mess in journaling is related to privacy. So if you've given some space in your journal for some feelings that are coming up that are really uncomfortable, that's awesome. That's a positive benefit, although there may be a reason that you don't want to read that again, or you don't want anyone else to have the possibility of reading it either. And so you may want to practice covering up those words. First, pick out some of the words that you may want to keep. Maybe there are words in there that you want to use as a reminder as you go back to that page, but all the others you're ready to cover up. You can cover up the words with images from magazines, from pages in a book. You could just take a black marker and mark it all out. Now, if you're covering up your journal because you're worried about your grammar or your handwriting, I want you to think about the reason that you're covering it up. And be sure that you're listening to that inner critic and you're telling it to go away. Another way to make a mess in journaling is called mark making. So when we think of art and we think of expression, we usually think of making a mark with a pen or a marker or a crayon on a page. And I want you to think outside that box. There can be something really powerful about using something that doesn't belong on a page. Spill some coffee in your journal. Take some dirt on the street and rub it on a page. And especially if you're an overthinker, this is going to be extra credit for you. So I'm going to challenge you right now. You've got 10 seconds to go get a blank piece of paper. Okay, without leaving your seat, look around you and pick up something that makes a mark. And then I want you to scribble all over your page with it. Keep on scribbling. Okay, stop. Put down your mark-making utensil. Take a deep breath. Look at that. You're an artist. So our inner critic is going to tell you, this is an ugly page. What did you do this for? What is the purpose? What is even the meaning of this? But when you go back and you look at that page later, I wonder if you're going to think about the mess, the scribble, the ugliness of it, or if you're going to remember this process of expressing yourself and watching this video. Other kinds of mark makings can be feeling lines. You can draw lines to represent your joy, represent your anger, represent feeling overwhelmed. Again, this is a different way to express our feelings without having to use language or words. There are lots of different kinds of mark making, but one of my favorite kinds is the spiral. This leads me into my next tip, which is to practice repetition. This can be repetition with words and affirmations, or it can be repetition with shapes. And spirals is one way to create that repetition that calms your mind. So here's an example from the meditative drawing small bites that you may have seen before of repeating shapes. I have a couple examples of cover-ups to show you too. There's no time. And then sometimes that inner critic and those yucky feelings need a voice, and they're ready to be covered up. So here's one example. It's okay to put yucky feelings in a book and let them stay there. Life is messy. Let your journal be messy and gain the benefits from it. Thanks for coming back to Small Bites. We're glad you're here. Be sure to check us out on all of our social media platforms and also on our website. We've got lots of cool gift shop items and also some resources and referrals for you. We'll see you next time.